Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here to talk about the challenge Double Agents Episode 11. My name is Allan, and here are my lovely co-hosts. We have first the lovely Southern gentleman, Luke Muncie.
What's up, guys?
And the lovely Canadian, Nikki Sin.
Hello.
So we just got done with Episode 11, and like all of you, you're probably upset that there was a to be continued to end this episode. Despite that, I personally really enjoyed the episode. Luke, Nikki, how are you guys feeling?
I loved it. I'm sorry. I loved the whole episode. I thought it was so good. We got bits of everything.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm typically the person that's really optimistic about the episode, but I kind of left this one feeling kind of just meh. But I think it's because the to be continued and Allan and Nikki have kind of swayed me. I think it was a really solid episode with like a lot of fun aspects. So I liked it.
I was watching the clock when it came to this episode and was just kind of terrified of like, oh no, are we going to get like a 1 minute elimination? Is this elimination going to be like terrible? And because we have the security breach and we don't know who's going into elimination just yet, I'm okay with the to be continued. Like I lived in the Dirty 30 era where we had a Hunter Corey elimination where they cut us off midway through the elimination, then showed you the trailer and you could clearly see Hunter competing in the daily challenge. That was the to be continued we used to have. This time around, we don't really have that info. We have no idea what's going to go on with this security breach twist. Maybe a mercenary comes out. Maybe anything comes out. We have a week to speculate, and that's way more fun than past to be continued.
Totally agree. The security breach made me immediately think, oh my God, who's coming? Totally agree.
I was like, Ashley, you're back again?
Right.
Ashley back. Just like... I wouldn't be shocked if Ashley came back a third time. That would be the least surprising thing this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, plus we have another female gone.
Yes, and we are going to jump right into that. We're going to get it out of the way, and the news is Lolo Jones quits the challenge Double Agents, and there might be other reasons for it, but Lolo Jones is quitting the challenge because she keeps losing. She hasn't won a daily challenge. Nobody's going to let her go into elimination. And because of that, she just quits and gives up rather than keep competing. That's what we saw. She's a loser. She's a quitter. Maybe there's more going on, and I apologize if there is. But from what we saw, just an absolute loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. She's like, I came here to compete. They're stopping me from getting my skull. You know, oh, they're never going to put me into elimination. No, they don't want me to get my skull. It's just, there's no point. No, I'm leaving. Whatever. I'm out.
Yeah, she's a huge loser. Literally huge. And my thing is, she's like, they're not going to throw me in. I've not won crap like this, that, the other. But historically speaking, and I can only speak on the season before where they had the skulls, but everybody got a chance to go in. She doesn't know she's not going to get a chance. And I understand it would be super humiliating to make it almost to the final and then just not get a chance, but she doesn't know that. And she gave the excuse of like, I've got to represent Team USA and I can't do that here. You signed on to the show.
On top of that, Lolo Jones is known for being one of the most hated people by like the US Olympic Committee in terms of like the people who compete at the Olympics are like, yeah, she's lame, she's entitled for no reason, she gets off on her looks. And it's funny because over in the Olympics, people say like, yeah, she's only where she is because of her looks. And on the challenge, it's like, oh, she's only here because she's an athlete. And both sides hate her. It's just, man, that's so lame, dude. And the dig she throws at people and these side-eyed little just passive-aggressive stuff. Like she said, like, oh, I know this would have been easy $1 million for me. Oh, these people just drink beer all day. I'm a real athlete. When I mean, it showed Devin, which was hilarious. But Devin's won 2 challenges this season. You got 0 daily challenges. You got nothing.
No, yeah. Lolo better shut all the way up because she's talking all this smack and she's like, I could have done this. I could have, should have, could have, would have. You didn't. Okay? That's it. You didn't. And now you're quitting. So, bye.
And I have to laugh, Allan just saying like she was saying, compared to the Olympics and this, that, the other. But I love the little soundbite from Darrell where he was like, Lolo's trying to compare this to the Olympics. This is not the Olympics. This is not even apples and oranges. This is peaches and asparagus. And I thought that was perfect. Just because you're an Olympic athlete does not mean that translates into an MTV reality competition television show. It's not the
Absolutely.
same.
And what's funny is that she was getting crushed in athletic events too. It wasn't just, the fun and games type stuff because she was doing poorly in those, but other girls are just beating her athletically, and that must be a tough pill to swallow, especially because
Yeah.
none of these women were college athletes. I mean, Tori Deal was, and Tori Deal also similar both to Lolo Jones this season.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. We're big fans of Lolo here.
you could see that, yeah.
I also love that as she was saying it, everyone's like faces were all different types of reaction faces that you could use for memes for years to go on. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I love the cutaway to Corey and the guys being like, these girls are acting sad and they are the happiest they've ever been. Because let's be real. Yes, Lolo is entitled. Yes, she is cocky. But I also think she could do pretty well in a final.
yeah, or like a hall brawl. No one wants to see her in a hall brawl because she's a literal sprinter. Uh, the
Nom.
Nams the Nam scene where he's like, "Oh, I love you, Lolo," and then he's like, "Oh no, 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 not like that love. I'm not in love with you. I like you." And then he kind of was like, "I don't know if I like you," even at the end.
That,
That was too funny. He was like, a general love. Not even that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That man hates her. It's fun. We do too.
That was literally the meme of the girl taking the drink, where she's like, "No, what?" Then there's like, that was Nam. That was Nam in that scene, and so
he
long,
became Brittany
Lolo.
Broski.
Yes, kombucha girl, Brittany Broski.
Yeah, so long, Lolo. Hope to see you never. Moving on, we are going into the daily challenge portion. And in the daily challenge itself, we saw players go grab onto a rope from a helicopter. They had to grab it at the right time. They had to make sure they had to time it really well.
They were on a boat.
They were on a boat as well that was moving towards the rope. Good note. And as they grab it, they would hold on over water. At a certain point, the helicopter would stop. They would drop from the rope and then swim about, what is it, 150 meters over to a finish line, um, hit the buzzer, and the fastest team wins. There were some flaws in this challenge in that they had all the teams going individually without a timer on the clock. So we had no clue who was doing well, really. We could only tell who was doing poorly or based on fan reaction in the crowd.
Yeah, totally. And there were probably 4 teams in my opinion that I was like, hey, any of those could have won. But we had no clue as viewers because we literally just saw them hang onto the rope, drop, and then swim.
Yeah, I'm sitting at home and I'm like already cheering because I'm like, okay, I'm like, I know Nany's got this. Nany, you got this. Josh did not got this. I will tell you that now. Josh did not got this. He just couldn't get that rope. Too slippery. Couldn't get Nany's rope either.
He wasn't near his
queued
rope at
himself
all.
out.
He
No,
was too close. He was too close to Nani. Then he tries to grab her rope for some reason. That was the worst because there were 3 DQs,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
easily the worst DQ because not only did he not get his rope, but he knocked Nani into the water. Just
was-
shot her back in the most hilarious fashion ever.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, and like Nikki said, I really thought that Josh and Nany would do well because I recall World of Worlds 2 and the Swing Purge. Them as a team did really well. Like, they've totally got this. But Josh is just dumb. Simply put.
What's funny is that at that point in the game, 4 teams had gone and none of them had DQ'd. And in my brain, I saw Josh. I was like, this is the guy. Because, like, they kept making a big deal about the rope thing, but no one had DQ'd to that point. So when I saw Josh, my brain was just like, that's the guy that's going to DQ. If anyone here is going to fall off the rope, it's his big body, man. It just wasn't going to happen. And he not only messed up, but in super hilarious fashion. Everyone is making fun of him, and he has to completely separate himself.
Yeah, and not that I don't think that Josh is strong, but I also am curious if that team could have held on to the rope as long as the other teams did until like the red buoy. I really don't know. I mean, I feel like Nany could, and I guess Josh is strong, but he's also a heavy dude.
That's a big guy.
I was just laughing because it's like it kept saying completed, completed, and I'm like, okay, it's weird that they just keep showing me that they finished the challenge. Like I know that they did, and then Josh waddles onto the boat. I'm like, oh, Oh, we're waiting for a DQ. Oh,
Yeah, and we
oh,
cert
and he asked production. He was like, "Wait. So what happens now? Like we have to go again?" And he was like, "No, no, we
That
don't get to
was
go again."
funniest moment of the episode ever. Like not ever, but like man, it when he asked like and he got mad like DQ what? It's like Josh, you obviously DQ'd. He had the same thing on Total Madness where he dropped that puzzle piece immediately, and then he found out it's like, oh, you guys didn't give me another piece. Like, no, Josh, here's the footage. You dropped it right here, and everyone is laughing at you.
Yep. Yep. And speaking of laughing at Josh, as soon as they got back to the beach or whatever it is, Devin was clowning Josh. And Nany was rightfully upset. She said very valid things about Devin, that he's very annoying, he's very cocky. He just was ragging on Josh. And then it was time for Devin and Gabby to go. And then Devin and Gabby, well, Devin, I should say, he DQs. That was like the perfect moment for me.
The kismet that was involved in that. Beauty.
I loved it. It honestly made the episode even better.
Yeah.
Gabby's face hitting the water and just looking at Devin on the boat still was classic. I love the Devin and Gabby partnership because it's a very throwback challenge pairing. Like we don't get a lot of pairings like Devin and Gabby anymore, where they kind of hate each other but also like each other in different moments and worked well together. And it's kind of funny.
It's giving me like Rivals 2 vibes. Like I can see them like doing like the back-to-back photos together, you know?
Yes, because it's like it's a very authentic dislike. Yes, there are times they like each other, but when they go at it, they really don't like each other. And you know, Gabby has been obviously she's humiliated because the week before she didn't go in when she and Devin were the double agents. And then Devin talked all that smack of everybody around, and he's the reason they drop and can't be the double agents for a second week in a row. It was too funny.
I do appreciate how honest he is though, in that he was like, yeah, that was like when they're talking about their fault as double agents, like, yeah, that was 90% my fault. He's just straight up in the confessional, and when he DQs, he's just laughing and clapping too, because he's like, oh man, this is hilarious. I pulled a Josh. And that's the difference. I think Devin is a very old school challenger. He has that same mindset of like, I have a storyline. I'm going to keep saying Big Brother sucks because I got to stay consistent. Yep. And Josh just does not have that mindset whatsoever. And Devin is just crushing him every week. And it's getting a little bit sad to see, but I appreciate it because I've been watching some old seasons recently for an article I'm creating. And I kind of appreciate Devin being an old school challenger.
I'm liking, I liked what Devin and Josh both brought in, like from like a new school and old school vibe. Because I'm like cheering for all the teams because like, you know, Cam and Kyle when they went, I was like, hell yeah, they nailed it, you know. Mm-hmm. And like Leroy and Casey, I was like, nailed it.
Yep, I agree.
And so it was nice to finally have a daily challenge where it was like there was like a little bit of like upset and drama, whereas like Devin mocking others and then getting his just desserts and doing the same thing, and you know, having people complete it and having people look like they're having fun. Like Darrell looked like he was having fun.
No, I agree. And I think you're exactly right. There was it was a nice contrast because I think back to back, we had Leroy and Casey who did really well, and Leroy showcased his newfound swimming skills. We had Cam and Kyle, which were a super strong team, and we had Darrell and Amber, who are super strong. And all three of them, I mean, not that there's not much to say about them. They all did great, but they were very much shown in the same light. And then right after we had flop and then flop. But
was anyone else shocked by Amber's excitement after the daily challenge? She was showing a lot of personality. Like, yeah, we did this, guys. We won. Like, we did good as a team. Like, it felt like a different Amber than we've seen all season.
Yeah, finally.
I'm seeing more of a personality. I think she's got this like Red Skull personality now, or Gold Skull personality now, and she seems like happier and more like encouraged, as opposed to Josh when he got his skull and he's like, I'm the best. I don't have to worry about defending my skull. I'm good. I feel good about it. No need. I ain't worried. You should be.
Yeah.
Josh's confidence, especially too, as we saw in the beginning of the episode, in that he has a tender heart-to-heart moment with Nany, and then he tries to turn it into something different, and like Josh was trying to hook with Nany, and Nany shut it down so fast, like you're creepy, da 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 da, and she did it in the most friendly and Nany way possible, and good lord, Josh took a lot of L's this episode.
The whole Nany situation, you know, even me as a viewer knew when the season started, even when the season filmed, that Nany was in a relationship. This is information Josh was surely privy to as well. Don't mess up your friendship. Don't mess up your, your partnership. Don't put Nany in that situation. Not that Nany would ever date Josh, make out with Josh, etc.
Yeah. Don't ever put yourself in the category of men that Nany would go for.
Because she even was like, maybe I could, and she's like, no.
That poor girl, I felt honestly really bad for her in that entire situation, because it's like he'll try and pull it as like, oh, she put me in the friend zone. The friend zone does not exist. The friend zone's not a real thing. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it. For the friend zone to exist, that means that every person in the world that you meet is like somebody that you're trying to get with.
Right.
I mean, onto that, I agree in some points that Josh isn't in the friend zone. He's in the family zone. He's in, and unless you're in the South, you're not getting out of the family zone.
Nope.
Stop. Oh, maybe the South, but no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You forgot to say no offense to Luke.
Yeah, I mean, they're both from Florida. Well, they both live in Florida now. They're more southern than I am, I guess. But no, I know exactly what you mean. And it's also just it just was weird to me. I'm gonna digress. It just was weird to me. But yeah, Josh always wears his heart on the sleeve. And going back to Nany, I think she handled it really well in that moment where Josh and her were on the couch. But I also thought in the challenge she handled it well. She's like, listen, everybody makes mistakes. She pulled a little Hannah Montana. And she also, this wasn't her fault. She was like, no, Josh, it wasn't your fault. I missed the rope. Knowing good and well she didn't. I think she's a great partner in the aspect of she can take the heat because I think she can mentally handle it, whereas Josh cannot. Absolutely.
I also got to say, I don't blame Josh because Nany looked, she always looks good, but she looked real good this episode. Oh my God, in her confessionals. There's a scene
you meant in the daily
where I think Luke says she looked ethereal.
Ethereal, yeah. Before we filmed this, I was telling him that there was one scene when I was watching, I had to pause it and just look, and she looked like an angel, angelic, ethereal, just out of this world. She's gorgeous.
And she made a wetsuit work. I think most people look terrible in wetsuits, and her body was looking fantastic. Nany, we love you. She's awesome. And Josh, you're too tall for Nany as well, because Nany dates guys who are between 5'7" and 5'9", and that's it.
Oh shoot, I'm too tall for it. Anyways. I guess we can transition to another flop from the daily challenge though, and quite literally flop, because they flopped in the water. We had another Gold Skull team, Fessy and Anissa, going in so confident. Yeah, and even if you didn't watch the episode, I hate to just dog on Anissa because I like what she brings to the show in some aspects, but when they got on the rope, Anissa could not hold herself up and flopped into the water.
And as she explained it, she looked like a turd dropping into the water. Her words, not mine.
It is true. And, you can't, it's like we can really analyze this. She just could not hold her weight up. But she says, it's over with. I can't do anything about it now. We've just got to move past it. And I feel like that's been Anissa's mindset all season. Yes, they've definitely won some dailies. Absolutely. They've really done pretty poorly in others. And she's just like, well, it's not the final. It's not the final. These are all elements that are probably going to be in a final. You shouldn't be okay with flopping at these. But yet she is.
I absolutely agree. It's sort of like in school when you get all those little quizzes. It's like, okay, well, this doesn't matter. It's not going to go it's not going to affect my final mark. I failed that. It's not going to affect my final mark. And then you get to the exam. You're like, okay, so I don't know any of this.
Yep. Should have prepared much better. Yep.
I mean, I have a
Did not
friend
prep.
who hates Anissa, and every week has been like tracking her performance because she's been like last place every single week since they won those first two daily challenges. It's been all time bad at this point, and I hate how safe she feels within this Big Brother alliance that honestly doesn't care about her, and
Nope.
but she's holding herself up like she like is part of them and is this good player. I don't know, man. Like I agree with Luke. There are parts of this game that she brings that's really positive, but I'm not feeling Anissa this season. And maybe it's also because she has a podcast with Tori that is kind of, offbeat a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
The vibe is a bit whack.
Yeah. She just has been all season. And I guess the team after them that went was not necessarily a flop, but didn't do as well as maybe some of the pre or aforementioned teams. But we had Lolo and Nam. This is of course pre-Lolo exiting.
Yeah.
But they do pretty good, but her swimming sucks. And then when they finish, she blames it because she lost her boot, and that made her less streamlined. What?
Another lost shoe. Another lost shoe on this season, and she's a grown woman, right? She's what, like 38?
If not
38,
39.
yeah. She's
Crying.
same age as Anissa.
Crying. Like, I lost my shoe. So I couldn't swim as fast.
Now,
I thought, like,
Luke is a respectable cross country runner in the past. I was a not respectable cross country runner in that I may have like felt my shoe was loose and then like knocked it off to like when I saw someone was like faster than me at the end of a race, and so I just like, oh no, my shoe's off, and then I go to grit it while they run past me because I know I can't beat them, and that's how I felt Lola was. She like maybe knocked off her shoe on purpose to have an excuse.
Yeah, and even still, thank you for that compliment, Allan. I'm not sure how true that is. But even if I lost a shoe in a race, I would keep going. That would even be more motivation to be like, oh crap, this might hinder me. Let me kick it into overdrive. But with Lolo, she always has to have an excuse. And that's even more abundantly clear since she left, as we already discussed. Goodbye, Lolo. Goodbye.
sayonara. Off you go. I'm
What
not
I do
upset.
I do feel bad though is that Nam's back is becoming a very like it's an
It's a
issue,
problem.
and and it's gonna come up big in some way because they're telling us about it. Usually, it's like they don't tell you about this stuff when it doesn't matter or when they just want to hide it.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row now because last week when he was digging, he mentioned it, and then you're right. He said when I was swimming and when I got up, there was something wrong. Yeah, they're foreshadowing, I feel.
Maybe it'll be he has to play that elimination that Teresa played, and his back is just gonna get demolished in it. And I hope not, because Nam is like Devin said last week. Nam is the man.
Maybe
really
somebody
is.
maybe somebody gives him a back massage and it gets better. Maybe that's what they're foreshadowing.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. The team that won this daily challenge, though, and you could tell this team did well. This is one you could actually like visually see, like, oh, they're doing well. Was Big T and CT, and yeah, they just, I mean, they got the ropes, and good on CT for losing weight coming into the season, because if he didn't drop that 30, 40 pounds, he would have struggled getting on that rope.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, I agree. I feel like he still would have stayed on because he just has that mindset, but the swim definitely would have killed him.
he was just struggling, like, as the way he is now, which is still a pretty big guy. He's a massive human. The fact that he can do that, impressive as hell. His swimming did slow down on World of the Worlds 2. I want to say that. Because CT for a long time was one of the best swimmers, and then threw up some garbage times on World of the Worlds 2 that made me wonder, like, is this the same guy? I didn't know, like, all that weight was definitely, like, weighing him down in a swim. Big T, well, my bad. Big T.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think me and Al have the same thought because it's, like, insane. She beat him in the swim.
Yes,
and
she did.
she was smiling while she's holding the rope, and she beats him in the swim. And one of the funny things is
so cute.
The thing that Big T struggled with the most was getting herself onto the platform once there. Like CT was on the platform on top first because Big T was struggling lifting herself up, and that was the cutest thing ever.
Oh,
It was.
I love them.
She was also one of the only females to like beat their partner in the swim, and CT's like historically, as I mentioned before,
Oh
a
yeah.
great swimmer. So that when you're beating him, that's huge. After the challenge, CT asks Big T like, "Where did that come from?" She's like, "Oh, I was in the swim team in high school, and like, it's like, where did the rope stuff come? Oh, I took a pole dancing class." It was like a Slumdog Millionaire situation. It
I
was like,
love it.
I loved it as well because I don't think we've seen Big T swim on a season before. So us as the audience, we had no clue either. But it just was like such a cute little endearing, like, oh, in high school I swam a bit, and yeah, Slumdog Millionaire for sure.
I'll say this as a nerd of the challenge. She swam in that one like challenge, the second episode of War of the Worlds 2, and they gave her the shortest swim because they thought she was weak. Imagine if they knew Big T could swim. Like that just changes her whole life, man.
Yeah.
Big T killed it, and it was just refreshing because after 35 seasons of this show, I've watched so many people be like, "Oh, I play this sport. Oh, I do this. I do motocross. I have a monster truck. I do rugby." And then they get their butts kicked, or they don't, or they aren't impressive. Big T is withholding skills. She just has aces up her sleeve, and that's just so much different from everyone else.
I love to see it. I love their dynamic is it's beautiful. It's entertaining, it's loving. Like just even watching them like hold hands to go down to like an elimination or like over to the challenges, it's so cute. And they're so supportive of each other, which is obviously something I love to see.
Fully agree.
This episode, great. I mean, like, look at how much we're talking about this daily challenge. Every little team had a little thing going for them. Going back to like Cam and Kyle, when Kyle's like, "I think I'm an okay swimmer," and Cam's like, "You're a shark," and he threw up the biggest smile in the world. That was just another cute moment I love. This episode was just chock full of stuff like that.
I loved it.
Daily challenge rate, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. I wish they showed us the times in the daily challenge. But other than that, every team had their own little dynamic showed. And we're getting to the point in the game where there aren't as many teams left. So we're getting to like envision them in a final.
Yeah, I spoke with Allan and Nikki before this, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't love it," but then they refreshed my memory. I'm gonna give it a 9. It was good, and it had such like just cute moments, like Allan said, where it was like, "Oh my gosh, we're seeing the dynamics between these two teams, and it's really special to see."
Yep, I'm also giving it a 9.5. This is why I watch the challenge. It's like I like seeing these dynamics between teams come together. They're like poking fun at each other, they're supporting each other, and it was definitely it was a really good daily challenge. It was like you got to get the rope, you have to hang from it, the heights part, and then the swimming, like very classic challenge stuff. I loved it.
And that is the daily challenge portion. We will be moving on to the drama portion right now. Moving into the drama portion, we honestly didn't have a lot of drama because most of it was talked about already in Lolo quitting. The majority of it was between Gabby and Amber, who are super passive aggressive towards one another. Gabby's talking trash, Amber's making noises, like type stuff, like little passive aggressive stuff, and what was once a friendship is now not a friendship. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, we talked earlier. We had that moment where Amber slams the door and Gabby's like, "I don't want to live in a house with someone who slams the door in my face." And it's like, okay, I get it. I guess.
But you do live in a house with someone that slams the door in your face. But we do have Amber, which, oh wow, we are just calling her Amber now. I remember last week we were like, are we just going to refer to her as Amber? So we had Amber go up to Devin and be like, "You know that I still love you, man. Like we're still good," which I was blissfully unaware of. I didn't know these two even had any sort of connection or friendship. I think maybe a little booze involved there.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry.
Devin is one of those people that you're always shocked by who like is friends with Devin. And that like Big T recently revealed on Instagram that like Devin was her best friend. And when they had the voting thing, Big T was genuinely like caring about Devin. It's wild.
Yeah, and Gabby was upset that Devin had that conversation with Amber B, because I'm not ready to call her Amber just yet. But I don't blame her. I feel like if I were in that situation and there was a broken friendship. I don't want to say friendship, but like alliance, I guess. But she went to my partner. I'd be like, Devin, why didn't you vouch for me and be like, hey, I know there was a misunderstanding. Like maybe me, you, and Gabby should speak. But Devin doesn't think on the same lines as Gabby does. And I think it's in that moment that Gabby says to Devin, like, you're not worried about me getting a skull or my game. You're just worried about your game. And Devin's like, that's exactly right, because that's the name of this entire game. Which, as much as that's obnoxious, it's true.
But, okay, so, like, not to, like, credit Devin or anything, but Gabby was making out with Fessy last week. Like, she's all like, oh, I can't believe Amber B is, like, always with the Big Brother people. Yeah, you're tonguing one of their mouths. I saw it.
That is true. That is very true.
You gotta say with Devin and Gabby, the great part about their relationship is that they both make great points. That you could definitely take either side. And Devin even said that, like, dude, you've just been making out with Fessy behind my back and stuff like that. And yeah, that's what their dynamic is so great. There's that scene together where at the beginning of the episode, like Devin and CT are in bed, like they're like little kids having a sleepover. I know everyone sleeps that way, but it especially looked that way in that scene. And Gabby's just like pouting, like, man, we messed up as double agents. And
yeah, and I think too, they are a partnership where both people are smart. Like you don't always have that. You have people that are definitely there to like provide good television, which, you know, Devin's definitely done this season. We can't take that away from him. You have people there that are just flat out dumb, Josh, and you have people there that, you know, are all of those things encapsulated. And I think that Gabby and Devin can be smart. They can have their dumb moments, but they can also like just be very entertaining. And they show that this episode.
Yeah, I think that Gabby is, because she's a rookie, she sort of leans on Devin for like game guidance in a way, but isn't super willing to accept it just yet because she's like, okay, but this is how I want to play the game. Like I want to play like an honest game. I don't want to be a backstabber. You know, I don't want to do this or this. Devin's like, okay, but it's gonna take you a bit, but you'll get there. You'll see.
Devin saying he made a rookie mistake in his 5th season was like brutally honest, but also like funny. And I like that CT was like, man, my 5th season, I was making so many rookie mistakes. And I actually went like through the history of like CT's performances. And that was like the era when he was like, you know, murdering Adam.
Yeah, it's
like it's just funny to think because like that was 20 seasons ago and over a decade ago. And that was CT's like 5th season. And you compare it to other people's like 5th season these days where they seem so like indebted to the franchise, and then CT was doing that.
Yeah, a stark difference for sure. But it was, you're right, it was just very endearing. It's like, yeah, Devin, you can admit that you have screwed up. And I don't want to say, because you know, you can probably tell from me even talking on this, I don't want to say that I'm on the Devin train, but I'm slowly but surely getting who Devin is as a character, but also a challenger.
I feel like I've never gotten that from other seasons.
Agreed. And this season, it makes total sense. Total.
Yeah. I mean, there are seasons of characters and players on the show that like I won't like, but there are times where like I hate bananas like more than anyone, but there are seasons where I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty good banana season. And I feel that way with Devin this season, where it's like he's just undoubtedly been the male star thus far. Like just been carrying drama, gameplay, winning some challenges. Technically has the most comp wins of anyone this season, and it's Devin.
I think the best thing for his game and, you know, my sanity was that Nicole Z got sent home.
She was on this season. My God, we've had 4 women taken out via non-eliminations.
You forgot she was there. I can't.
I try to forget because oof.
She was there for 12 minutes, and then it was 12 minutes too much.
Devin couldn't understand her. She needs subtitles.
Yeah, to cap off the drama portion, we had one moment that was especially notable, and it was CT after winning the daily challenge. Oh, we have more stuff to talk about in the drama portion. Apologies. We have CT just after the daily challenge, he wins, and he tells people that he wants to face the GOOF in elimination. And who is the GOOF? It's none other than Josh Martinez. And MTV doubles down on the joke by showing footage of Josh looking real dumb, like the dumbest face he's made all season, really mean to Josh, and then tripling down by putting up a graphic, all caps, the goof.
I mean, it probably wasn't hard to find that footage.
It was real mean. It was real mean.
I just said that like certain people say certain roles or play certain roles. Josh plays the goof.
He's the village idiot, the Joker.
You do like that, like the other side of the house, like the Big Brother players were like, "Oh, you want to face Devin?" Like there's that of the argument as well. But I thought Josh too. But man, MTV must be paying you a good amount to show up if they're clowning you this hard, bro. Like, man.
That or he lacks self-awareness, but that's not my place to judge.
I'm happy that CT is like being open about the fact that he's like, no, like I want an easy gold skull. Well, let me take this goof out.
Yeah, I think too many people like to hate on that idea of like, oh, you want to go get somebody that's small and not your size? Well, yeah, wouldn't you want a guaranteed spot to make the final? Like, I don't need to prove myself until the final.
Yeah. And like, does CT have to prove himself? Really? I don't
think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, you really just thinking about it, though, like, man, Josh is gonna be the goof for the next 10 years. He's gonna be the like social media is not gonna forget this. Casual challenge fans are gonna call Josh the goof, and like when he's married and he's like when he's 80 years old, someone on like in a social media comment is gonna call him the goof, and he has to embrace it. Maybe get like a goofy costume or something, or I don't know. Like I don't know what's gonna work for Josh, but man, that's why I feel bad because he's stuck with his nickname forever.
I didn't feel bad. It was nice to see some like Toronto Mandem slang on the challenge. Like we call people goofs all the time. We're like, are you stupid? You're a goof.
And maybe Josh can capitalize on this. Maybe he can pull a bananas or a Big
T-shirts.
Easy and
The goof.
the goof. And he comes on the he comes on the next season and it's it doesn't say Josh, it says the goof.
He could do that with Big Brother stuff. Get pots and pans labeled the goof.
Yep.
You know what though? I don't feel as bad for him. We're working for him. We're marketing for him. We're branding. And he could go in with Devin. Big Brother sucks. Plates and cups and the goof kitchenware.
A cookbook, a goof book.
Ooh.
We're on this. We're on to something.
Yeah.
We're on to something.
When you goof up, when you mess something up, oh, couldn't throw the ball. I goofed up.
Trademark it now.
Yeah, you're welcome, Josh. Since I know he's listening.
And the last drama portion is the fact that we saw challengers for the first time since the mid-2000s have fun. It was crazy because we never get to see people have like authentic fun anymore. And they were all shotgunning beers. People were playing flip cup. They looked like they're having a genuine good time.
Yeah, I love. Oh, same. I was like, I wish I were there. I loved when CT and Big T came out in their really fancy outfits, and Big T was like, "You guys better have fun tonight, or else you're not safe tomorrow." And I was like, you know what? That's a good strategy. Like, let's have fun on my winning week, or else you're going home.
Yep. I was so on board with it because like that's a lot of the reason. So I love this episode so much because it was like the daily challenge really felt like the challenge for me. And watching them party and have fun like reminded me of like when they used to have like themed house parties and like, have fun. I miss when they got to have fun. They're not actual secret agents. Stop treating them like they're on Archer, like they're not real secret agents. So
Agreed.
I want to see them shotgun beers and like Devin could talk about foamers or whatever he talks about all the time. Like, let's do that.
Yes, I so agree. And this isn't a spoiler because it was literally the last promo, but like we got a little promo of like another looks like a theme party in the future. I'm really excited for that one as well.
I'm excited for it. For the drama portion, I scored this 7.5, which sounds low after talking so positively kind of about it, but the fights and stuff like that were underwhelming, but the fun was. I'm gonna give it an 8. Yeah, so that's my drama portion score. What are you guys?
Okay, so my score is going to be a 6.5. I know, sounds lower, but it just it didn't give me all that I wanted in terms of drama. You know, there was no like drinks being thrown, yelling. That's what I needed. Gabby needs to go like full UK lass and like smash some glasses and scream in someone's face. That's what I need.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6, which, like you guys both said, seems a little low, but I felt the same way. There wasn't a lot of drama, which luckily that I don't think this episode necessarily needed that. But on this specific rating, I think a 6 is fair for me.
And that is our drama portion. We're going to move into strategy right next up. Moving on to the strategic portion, we open up with CT, as we mentioned before, saying that he wanted the goof in elimination, yet he can't realize that every week him, Devin, and Kyle are just going after this Big Brother alliance, not knowing that it's only 3 of them. They're banking on other numbers that aren't with them, and Casey, on the other side, is controlling all the Big Brother numbers. She has Josh's number, and Nany's staying loyal to Josh. She's got Fessy's number, and Anissa, for some reason, is loyal to Fessy. And she has Amber in her back pocket too. And whenever Amber gets upset, you ever notice that in the scenes that she runs over to Casey to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Casey like grounds her.
And what, they apparently had Lolo? Sorry, I was just talking about this. Before Lolo made her triumphant exit, she said, I tried to throw myself in last week, and not even my like Big Brother people would help me. And I've been working with them since the beginning. Now, I'm aware that marijuana is legal in Canada. Was I stoned somehow and misheard her? Or that's what happened?
That is what she said. That is what she said. Now, is Lolo a delusional woman who might have believed this?
Uh-huh.
I'm under the impression that yes, she is.
Lolo worked around them. She wasn't working with them. In high school, I was with one of my best friends, and a girl pulled up in a car and was like, get in. And I got in with them, and then we went to a party, and there's a photo of a party with me with people I don't even know. And we're just like, known for being a different set of people. And you just see me with a drink all happy. And people message like, Allan, you're friends with them? I'm like, no, I just got in a car and I went in. That's Lolo Jones. She thinks she's their friend for some reason, though. She's like, I was with the Big Brother Alliance. I was a core member. If you hate them, hate me too. It's like, no, dude, no, you weren't.
She just hopped in the car.
Yeah, she just bobsledded her way into that. Sorry, I know that was like sort of off topic.
But I think it's pertinent because we were talking about Big Brother, and Casey really does. Allan was saying like Casey has been on the right side of every single vote, and she's so kept her people, especially when it matters. But she's not going to Lolo being like, "Hey Lolo, do this. Hey Lolo, we're gonna get you that skull. Hey Lolo, girl, guess what?" That's just not what's been happening, and won't happen because she's gone.
Yep. And one of the funny things though is that in the vote this week between Josh and Devin and them thought they had the votes of Cam and Leroy, and that it would be a 7-7 vote against the Big Brother people and Corey. For whatever, Corey just doesn't like Devin, just for whatever reason. I think that's the reason why he's voting against him. And they figured that Darrell was the swing vote, and Darrell and CT, they're people who've been friends on other seasons. They were really close on Invasion. I know that CT invited Darrell to his wedding, but MTV did not invite Darrell to CT's wedding. Like, CT gave them a list of people that he'd be okay with going to his wedding, and Darrell was on the list, and they just didn't invite him because, for whatever reason.
Wow.
Yikes. I did not know that. Yikes.
Neither did I. Bit rude, that.
Yeah, I mean, Bananas famously was not on the list because he told Kenny that CT got fat and married a stripper, and Kenny said that on an interview. I think it was with Barstool, and yeah, that's why Bananas was not at CT's wedding.
White men go and do white men stuff, huh?
Hey, but Sweetie's skinny, and they were separated at the beginning of the season. Anyways.
So, yeah, maybe Darrell didn't give him his vote because he didn't get invited to the wedding. I don't know. It's just funny though because there was the scene at the deliberation where they asked Darrell, "Hey, where you going?" And Darrell's face was like, "Y'all haven't cared about me all season, and now I gotta say where my vote's going."
Yeah, I so agree. He doesn't owe them that, quite frankly. It's a
No.
game. It's a game, and we so often see people like, we had this past loyalty, we had this past alliance, but the game is very much played in the present. They don't need to like respect or hold anything for anybody.
I'm finding this like Corey buddying up with Josh thing a little odd.
I mean, Corey sees him as someone he could beat in a final. He's like, "Hey, Josh, come in here, buddy. Let's go to the final together." Oh, or like what Devin said in deliberation, maybe he sees them as like a skull. He's like, "Hey, buddy, looking real nice, looking real delicious."
That is
Or
so.
maybe they're gonna trade headbands.
They just might.
They might.
Speaking of Devin, though, like seeing Josh as a skull, I found it so intriguing that in the deliberation, since we're to that part of it, Devin pulled the "I'm a layup" card. I'm not going to win this final. I'm only smart. You could probably beat me in elimination, but you could probably beat Josh more. I feel like Josh could have totally pulled the same argument. Like if they just wanted to have like a battle of the layups, Josh could be like, "Well, I barely won that elimination, and I've never even been in a final, and Devin has, and I'm just a big bumbling, mumbling goof."
Well, Josh sees himself as better than CT, so that's never going to happen because of that. And it's funny because Devin over here, who's won the most comps, and Josh, who barely, was struggling to throw in balls. That's the difference of self-awareness. That's just huge. And Devin was killing that deliberation. He was making great points. He's like, "Why do you want to give me to CT when I could be your meal ticket to the final?" And it was like even Nany was like, "Damn, I might vote for Devin." He's like, "If I didn't hate this guy, he's making great points."
Yeah, and like the way that he was like, he's like, I'm not a field agent. Anissa and I are not field agents. We're in the van. We're IT. And Anissa's like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're making good points."
I like that he took Anissa down with him. I like that.
And Anissa was like, "Yeah."
Her eyes got big. She started shaking her head.
She's like, "Yeah, I'm not a field agent."
Who's the guy from Kim Possible? Who's the guy at the desk? Yeah, Ron.
Wait,
Devin's like, "I'm Ron."
No, Wade. Wade is the guy like behind the computer.
Yeah, that's who Devin says he was.
It was a good argument.
I rewatched all of Kim Possible, by the way. That was perfect.
Well, she's our next rookie on the challenge. But no, I just think it was such a great argument from Devin. Like, was it completely accurate? Well, yeah, it kind of was, but it also could have been completely accurate for Josh too. But he, like Allan said, Devin at least can humble himself to admit that, like, hey, you can do me as a layup, just as long as it gets me one step further.
Yeah.
Don't give a mouse a cookie, bro. That's essentially the story. The votes come out though, and it is a 8-5-2 vote, I believe, in that Cam and Leroy burned their votes on Nam and Lolo because they don't want to because they know where the votes are going and they don't want to get stuck in the fire. They don't want CT to see that they voted for Gabby and Devin, and the 5 votes to Gabby, to Josh and Nany were, again, Devin, Kyle, Nam, Lolo, person I'm forgetting.
Gabby probably.
Gabby. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Big Brother people plus Corey plus Darrell voted for Gabby Devin. And when CT tells everyone it was 8-7, I just know that Cam and Leroy in their head are like, "We did good."
Yep.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
They're both such good players.
They are. And this was, I think, and I could be wrong, so if I am, I'm just going to be wrong. But I feel like on previous episodes, we've not seen them just outright be like, "Okay, this is who's going in." There's always been some element of surprise. But like Josh was like, "No, I'm not going in." And we had that soundbite from Devin where he's like, "Yeah, this sucks, but don't count me out because I've taken out Wes. I've taken out Johnny Bananas." And you start to look back at Devin's track record. Yes, they might be a little bit of, well, the Bananas one might be like a very simplified elimination, but nonetheless, he can say he's taken out Bananas. So he does have that to his name. And it's a cool little stat, I guess.
Yeah, I liked how he was like talking about them like they were like legendary Pokemon. He was like, I caught Articuno, I caught Moltres, I just got to get Zapdos now, and it was just like that was a baller moment from Devin. Like it was legitimately cool. Uh, as we know, though, also I think CT himself told them because Devin has been good to him this season, as he said, like he's been his number one ally, and like you probably should tell your number one ally, like, hey, you're going in, I'm gonna go in to face you, and that's that. It's very respectful way to play the game. I mean, not most people wouldn't do it, but respectful in its own right. Lolo quits, and that leaves a hole in that. Now we got two male rogue agents. For all this game, we've had, you know, we've had extra males because, the females keep dropping off. But now we have males who, like, who are kind of screwed over. And someone tells Nam, like, well, Corey's going to get a partner today. And then what's going to happen to you? Because that's two shots Nam doesn't get at a skull. And it's troubling. It's the math is mathing up.
The math is mathing, yes.
Math is gonna math. It kind of sucks that both the rogue agents are guys without skulls too.
I agree. It leaves a glaring hole in what is to come.
It was, yeah, and we know that there is a security breach. That is what they announce when they get to the elimination. And as we mentioned before, that could mean anything. That could mean that a mercenary is coming back. Like who's the most recent male eliminated? Michi?
Was it Michi? I was gonna say not Michi, but it could be Michi. I hope it's not Michi because he really well, they might hope it is Michi, if it even is a mercenary, because like that's an easy skull.
Hey,
him coming back.
I would love to bring back the easiest person for Devin to beat to keep him in the game. That would be the most MTV moment ever. It's like, here you go, Devin. Here's your mercenary. It's Danny Jameson.
Right. Right.
Oh.
We were talking earlier though. I hate a cliffhanger. But I think Allan said right at the beginning of this podcast, this is not our typical, final reckoning, dirty 30. This is not the typical like cliffhanger. I'm genuinely excited for next week.
So am I. Like I'm buzzing for it.
Security breach could mean anything, and yeah, I'm excited. Even if it's just CT versus Devin, and the security breach meant nothing, like because this person DQ'd, their votes don't count anymore, and it'll be the same result like last time. But yeah, as a whole, good episode though, really good episode.
It might be like I'm thinking a security breach, like maybe they'll show like who voted for who to everyone.
That's cool. I even thought that security breach could mean that maybe because Devin already has a skull, his security is now being breached.
Good point.
Yeah.
For strategy, I'm going to give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. It was, there was a lot. Like Devin's talk was great. I thought they were really playing well. I mean, one of the best deliberations we've seen, even if it failed. It reminded me, it was almost like not to slander Ashley, but it was a better version because what Devin said legitimately made sense. Like, if you don't have a skull, you want to face me, and that like I don't know how Corey didn't vote for Josh.
No, I absolutely agree. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 for strategy. Well-rounded. Cam and Leroy thinking smart, thinking ahead. They don't want to mess around with that. And CT and Leroy also go back. So there is also that loyalty.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to trail end off what Nikki just said. Very smart on Cam and Leroy's part. They got no heat for burning a vote because no one has to know, quite frankly. And Devin's speech really was good. I hate giving this man so much credit, but he really has done great things this season.
For the episode,
sorry.
Yeah. For the episode itself, what would you give the overall grade?
I will give it an 8. I feel like we've said this the past 2 weeks even, and I'm sure that Nikki and Allan have said it weeks before. This has been a solid season, And I just feel like this was another solid, if not more than, it was definitely more than solid, but it's just a great episode. So I'm going to give it an 8.
I'm giving it a 9. 9 or 9.5. Yeah, it had everything that I wanted in an episode, except for like a drunken hookup. You know, like I think this is like the path the challenge needs to go back on. I'm I I don't like this whole let's pretend it's a secret agent movie. I don't think that fits well for the show. Like right now, like Total Madness last season, they were like, okay, you're going in a bunker. I'm like, okay, but no sunlight and no like
Yeah.
outside air makes people go crazy and not like fun crazy. It
Mhm.
makes Kayla hook up with Bear. That's the kind of crazy you go. So I really like this as like a stepping stone for the challenge to keep going like this. I like this. And I'm amped for next week.
This is the part of the challenge that I always love. It's when the cast dwindles down and you only have people who are actually either quality cast members or are contending to try and become, fill that role. And it's good that all the filler is gone. People are getting featured more. I give the episode a 9 out of 10. I probably would give it a 10 if we got an extra half hour and we got to see the eliminations. I mean, I know I've been saying that To Be Continued wasn't bad, but that was the only cherry on top we needed. That was just like it would be one of the funniest episodes I've ever seen. From the goof to Josh getting mad that he DQ'd to getting rejected. I'm just making fun of Josh at this point. To getting rejected by Nany. To a little thing I liked was just like Corey had a book open in his bed, and it's the visual of Corey holding a book open is funny. And he's been wearing glasses this entire season too to make himself look smart. And it's like, Corey, that's not you. I've seen you, dude.
Yeah, I agree.
They just looked like they were having so much fun this episode. And that's something that has been like missed, especially in the last like few seasons.
I think MTV underrates how much watching people have fun is like infectious to actual fans. Like having a good vibe makes you enjoy what's going on, even if it's like sometimes bad.
Yeah, like we're in quarantine, we're in lockdown still. I don't want to see other people also in some sort of lockdown, like miserable, and figuring out like what they're gonna do with their lives or what next manic move they're gonna make. Like that's what I'm doing. I don't need to see that. I want to see them get drunk, make messes, make mistakes, do the whole magic school bus thing.
Yeah, I support it 100%, and just maybe throw in a couple more hookups, and then I'd be set on that.
1000%. Next week, looks like we're getting an Up All Night challenge, or that's what I think it is, based on the trailers this season, and that look like they're locked in these little cages. It reminded me a lot of the Up All Night challenge from Rivals 3, where they stood in the boxes.
I loved that one. Sorry.
Very good challenge. Rivals 3, a lot of good little stuff in that season, but as a whole wasn't that great. But yeah, I'm excited for next week. I'm excited for the security breach. They didn't even show us the eliminations either because they don't want you to figure out who's in them. Love that. Love that so much. Love the trajectory the season's on after this week. Last 2 weeks in a row, it was feeling a bit like it was dwindling down. And now I'm picked all the way back up, even without an elimination, which are my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, which I think is a great sign. Like, I full-blown agree. The last 2 weeks did feel a little, and I'm excited. And like we all three have said, next week we're like, okay, let's get to next Wednesday. So yeah.
I think it goes to show Lolo's out.
Yeah.
He's back.
Lolo Jones is gone. I'm amped for that. If you like that Lolo Jones is gone, make sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Caffeine Confessionals, on Spotify, caffeineconfessionals.com. Follow me on Twitter at the Allan Aguirre. Follow Nikki on Twitter at the Nikki Sin. And Luke is going through some Twitter problems. Don't tell Twitter he's on there because they might take down his account. Have a great day. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast.